Hello everybody, Reggie Time here, and this is the first video in what I hope will be 15 videos in September, but that is very much going to be down to you guys. What I'm wanting to do in September, well, I'll explain first of all, it's going to be a bit of a ramble, but please do listen. During September, I'm going to be working from home a lot, supporting a gentleman from home. He's coming to stay with us for 16 days, and during the daytime, he will be out at day service. It's going to leave me a lot of time to play poker, so I'm hoping to put a lot of hours in. I'm also hoping to make quite a lot of videos, but I'm also hoping to try and raise some money for at least one, maybe two um, local groups that provide social activities for people in my area with learning disabilities, primarily adults, but sometimes children too. Um, so what I've done is I've just put an incredibly small deposit onto Triple Eight. I put $50 on yesterday. We got it up to 61, and my plan is whether or not the plan's got two parts. The first part is I'm just going to play 10 and L at least an hour a day all month, and then whatever the bankroll is at the end of that, I'm going to give it to the local groups. But I'm also hoping that some of you guys might help me out to be able to make a larger donation. So my plan is to make 15 videos. Each new video will be released when I have received £10 in donations. So for example, I make this video today, and if by the 4th of September I've received to my PayPal or through Triple Eight £10, I will then get on and make the next video. I won't make the next video until I've made £10, and every time I get £10, I'll make a new video. So for example, if one of you was generous enough to donate £20, then there would be two videos made. When the total gets to £30, then I owe you three videos, etc, etc. I'm not looking for anyone to make large donations. If you do, they'll be very warmly and gratefully received, but it's not necessary. I don't mind if they come in 50 pences or £50. And I'd love to make more than 150. I'm only going to make 15 videos, but I'd love to try and make as much money for these guys as I can. There all groups that I'm hoping to donate to are run exclusively by volunteers. No one's getting paid for running the groups. They just put their own time into it. And I'd like to donate some money to them so they can plan nicely, so they can plan to have like maybe a bigger and better and cheaper Christmas party for the people that they do the voluntary work for. So that's what I'm hoping to do. Raise as much money as possible. If you're watching this video, please do not donate if it's after the 31st of October 2019, because the money will have been collected by then and redistributed shortly after. So please do get involved. I do have a good reputation for doing these things in the past. I'm not interested in, like, please don't think I'm trying to rip anybody off or scam anybody. I will provide evidence of all monies donated be going to the areas that I'm wanting them to go to. They will be all above board, complete clarity, and I'd hope by now that my reputation for being a very fair man and not in any way a scammer, having been doing this kind of thing for several years now, is out there, and you guys can trust me with it. So please do, if you do enjoy my content, lots of guys seem to provide good feedback, please do consider donating. It doesn't have to be a large amount. Any amount's fine. And it would be really nice if we could raise £150 at least, plus whatever I make. And if we can make a £200 or £300 donation to one or more local groups, that would be, I think it'd just be a nice thing to do. Us poker players, we do have a good tradition of being generous and charitable, and hopefully this will be another one of those times. So the more that we raise, the more videos will be made. We're going to start out playing 10 and L because, as you saw, the bankroll is just at 6 buy-ins at the moment. But if later in the month we do manage to spin it up to, I don't know, 180 plus, we might throw some 20 and L in there later on in the month. Not promising, but we might. If at any point I bust the roll, the challenge will end, the videos will stop, and I will just make a £100 donation from my own bank myself, and any donations you guys have put towards it. I'm hoping not to go broke, of course, but who knows? It's only 6 buy-ins, and I guess it is possible. Any questions, please do leave them in the comments. If you want to donate, PayPal is preferable. Donate as friend or family, so PayPal don't take any juice off it. My PayPal address is the same as my email address below the video, which is reg@holker.st. Or you can also do a direct play-to-play transfer to me on 888, and that will work too. Please don't try and do it on PokerStars, because PokerStars make you play the money through, and I don't play on PokerStars, so it would mean I would have to gamble with the money just to clear it, which is not what I'm willing to do at all. So unfortunately, the only two ways to deposit are to donate would be through PayPal or through the poker client, unless I already know you, and then I'll be happy to do bank transfers, but I wouldn't be too happy to do bank transfers with complete strangers. So I'm sorry for the 5-minute ramble. Let's now play 54 minutes of 10 snap, unless I manage to bust 6 buy-ins, which hopefully won't happen. If there are any particularly interesting hands that I don't think I cover particularly well while I'm playing them, we shall bring up the replayer and take a second glance. I already know I'm a tighter than your average bear in these games, so if you do see me folding a hand from a position you would open, feel free to comment on it, but unless it's just a clear and obvious error from me, as in like a misclick folded kings or something, then don't be surprised. I already know that I'm a fucking nit, and please feel free to tell me if you want to, but don't think it's anything that I haven't heard before a million times. I'm going to check back here with the 8-7, and if he checks turns, we're just going to bet twice then using largest sizings. Yeah, makes me a little bit less tempted to now, given we have like a 0 equity bluff. Well, not 0 equity, I guess we could hit an 8 or a 7 and be good, but yeah, it doesn't look like he's got much, does it? Doesn't look like he has much, and he snap folded. So we've been squeezed here small from someone who's likely to be a recreational player, a weak player with his stack size and his sizing. So we're going to defend, and we're not going to flop particularly well with a couple of backdoors. That's it. It's certainly not going to be continuing versus that sizing. Three bet again. 10.5 big blinds. Again, I think we need to defend this, and I think it's just too pure, isn't it? Too pretty. I'm not a massive fan of calling versus 3 bets in the micro stakes, especially micro stakes speed poker games, because people just tend to have pretty narrow, strong ranges, but they're just too pretty. But again, we've got a terrible flop and we're facing enormous bets, so it makes life very easy for us. Down bet here with the 2 kings on the Jack 8 board. He's not going to call with draws now when we bet, of course, but he probably is still going to call with all these pairs. I get min raised here. No sense in 3 betting. Call. Check call river. Hope he doesn't have quads. Hope he doesn't overbet. That would be grim. And he just checks back, so who knows what he was raising with on the turn there. Yeah, very oddly played ace queen from this dude. Pretty sure we can safely tag him as a non-regular, which is always nice to know. We are playing at 10:30 in the morning on a Monday, so Not expecting the games to be super splashy, but who knows? Fingers crossed there will be a few interesting players in the pool that will give us some money and also make for some interesting hands for the video. A limper here under the gun and try to isolate. I don't mind over limping there either in softish games, but I think isolating's just fine too. We turn a jack here on a pretty coordinated board now, so just going to bet just for some value from worse jacks, a little bit of protection. Don't want a 9-10 of a spade rolling off for free. Just going to stab at this board. We can't really call any turns. If we check back and he probes turn, we can't call anyway, so we just bet, hope to take it down. Not a great flop without a position multi-way on a hand that isn't going to be able to continue very often on turns if we get called, so just going to check here, pretty much giving up unless we face a very small bet. Do we want a 3-bet our 8-9 suited here or call? I think versus the 3x I would want a 3-bet to try and take it down pre versus this size. I'm possibly more comfortable calling, especially on boards like this. We're certainly going for a check raise here, and we're just going to let the pocket 8s go on this board. I think I want to check raise quite big here. I'd want to check raise big with all my sets, any 2 pairs that I have. I think I'm going to go up around the 130 sort of area. Pot's 130, so it's got a little bit bigger than pot. I'll be thrilled if he 3-bets, but we're obviously going to be getting it in with this exact hand. We're up against a set here. Time to get there, I guess. 3-bet the ace jack suited on table 2. Time to get there. Here's 2 pairs. That's a nice turn. That's a nice river. Good stuff. Good stuff. We'll take that. Ace jack. He's peeled here. I mean, he's likely to be a fish. He's not got a full stack. Don't think we get too many folds, not too many good turn cards for us. I'm comfortable just checking here. Who knows, he might just check back sometimes and allow us to realise some more of our equity. When he bets, it's a pretty easy fold in my opinion. Same reasons as betting the 2-5s earlier when we limped, when we isolated over limper. We can possibly call some more turns on this board. But our hand is very vulnerable, so I'd rather just try and take it down now. When we do not succeed, we are pretty much done with the situation. And we just stabbed this board because it's better for our range than it is for our opponents. But when the king pairs a turn, I don't think I'm going to get him to fold a queen, which should be the primary reason for betting. What would you do with stuff like pocket 8s, pocket 17? Maybe he folds them, but we're just going to have better hands to be betting with. Bluffing with there than ace 7. And we may have some showdown value. We may props up now with the jack, because if you did have a hand like 10 jack, 10-9, those types of things, then they've just got there. It's going to take our very weak showdown value here, because I don't think we're going to get our opponent to fold better. Certainly not going to get him to fold the nuts. So, yeah, interesting line there. I think he needs to bet that river when we check back the turn. I know we're looking pretty weak and we're not likely to call with very much, but we're probably not that likely to just start bluffing again either. Bottom pair here on a board that heavily favours the big blinds, so we're going to just check back and just try and get to showdown with our deuce. We're going to call here with the ace queen? No, I think we call with the ace queen suited and maybe 3-bet ace queen off. Although I would like to try and keep the limper in the pot. We're going to get 4-bet a lot here and have to fold, which is never nice. Versus the stack size here, I'm willing to just commit with this hand. I'm going to bet pretty big. If he raises, then we're probably behind, but we'll have some equity. I think I should probably not be playing 200 blinds deep when we're playing off a relatively short roll. But we'll do it anyway. We'll be ashamed to get felted for 200 blinds when we're playing off a short roll, but it would be nice to cooler somebody for 200 blinds when we're playing off a short roll, so we'll stick with it for now. Continuing checking here with the 2 6s. Pretty sure this guy is a Facebook group member. He's a pretty solid player from recollection. I don't have any more. I don't have notes on Triple Eight. I got a new computer earlier in the year, and I haven't played much on Triple Eight since getting it. So we have very few tags and almost zero notes, unfortunately. That though is middle set, which is very nice. A super dry board. Sadly, we get no interest. So we just need to hope that this player has an ace now. I'm not going to go small here. I'm going to go pretty big. If no one's got anything, we're not getting action anyway. Top pair here with Queen 10. We're going to start with a check. And sadly, we've got no action with the set, which is somewhat unfortunate. This Duke can have some kings in his range, I guess. King Jack would probably play this way. King 10 maybe plays this way. I'm just going to block, fold to a raise. I think it's going to be hard to get value, that's the problem. But I don't really want to be check calling on this board. I don't think he's going to have enough bluffs, so we'll go with the block. Pretty transparent if he's any good, but seems reasonable. He makes the tiniest of raises, but we're just not going to pay him off. I'm going to lead here on the turn with our open ender and our gut shot. He snap calls. Jack 10 gets there. Problem is he's less likely to have clubs because we have clubs. And then we bet he want to try to make him fold. I mean, I guess he can have some weakish stuff that maybe some kind of 7x that has us beat, but can't call. Ace 7, King 7. I think we need to go for it because we have literally one of the worst hands we could possibly have here. And we get raised and we don't care because we have 5 high. Min 3-bet here by someone who's either misclicking, well not min 3-bet, but small 3-bet. I think 4-betting here would be remarkably spewy and disappointing if we get jammed on. Start with a check, going to fold versus big bets. I know people will think that's pretty exploitable, like just calling 10s out of position and folding to 1 c-bet there. But the guy was almost certainly a fish. The mid 3-bet, then the large c-bet. Usually, and not always of course, but usually is just somebody who is playing overpairs in a pretty bad way. If he didn't have an overpair there, if he had ace king or something and bluffed me, then more power to him. It's not a spot where I'm willing to start just check calling blindly and either hoping my opponent shows down or hoping that he's spewing. I don't like putting chips in passively and hoping. It doesn't seem like a good strategy in the micro stakes, and it's never felt like one when I've been doing it. He's limped and now he's min betting this board. Don't think our hand's strong enough to warrant raising for protection. And now we're just going to let it go on that particular texture. Ace 10 off under the gun. Not for me. Not for Nitty time. I am going to be trying to play my absolute best, even though it's 10-L and I don't get particularly enthused by the games. I'm going to be trying my absolute best in every minute of this this endeavour, because I do want to try and make as much as possible for the groups we talked about at the start of the video. I'm not going to be recording every second I play. I'm going to, as I said, I'm going to try to play at least an hour a day, possibly more sometimes, depending on how the games on Sky are. And I'm going to try and play my absolute. I'm sometimes guilty of not playing particularly well at 10-0 when I can be a little bit splashy sometimes and not play my usual A game. I'm going to try my absolute best to do so this month and just see exactly how much we can hopefully win. I'm expecting to win, of course, but of course we can sometimes lose. Queen seems like a good candidate to check call with here. Easy call versus this 72-cent bet. Wouldn't be thrilled to call rivers. I'm certainly not going to be thrilled to call this particular river. When we are very bluffable here, when we check and he checks, he's just got like a pretty easy bluff. But there's just not much we're going to be able to do about it. Wow, he did not value bet the river with... Wow. How does he get to that river and not value bet when he's seen it go check on the flop, bet call on the turn, and then check on the river? Really do not understand that check back there. He's playing more than one table, that dude, but maybe my assumption that he's a regular because he's playing more than one table. Belarus as well, they're usually aggressive fuckers, aren't they, Belarusians? Surprised to see a Belarusian check back a flush in that spot. When I'm not recording, I will be three tabling because these games can be somewhat slow when two tabling, but three tabling the tables go a little bit too small, and my old man eyes don't see things as well as I would want them to. And the 3-bet here with the King Queen off. I don't think it's a particularly useful hand to call with from the cut-off versus middle position. Why when you always check back, try to pot control, does the blasted ace pop off? I guess we could have c-bet there, but I don't think we have a hand we could bet 3 streets with. And now the ace has come and I'm a little bit wary that he might have one. I think it's just check back and value bet river. If he makes a large bet, then I'll be a bit miffed. I'm going to bet really, really small on this river. Just hope he like calls with worse pairs. I mean, we know he seems quite passive. He checked back that flush before, so he may well have some like ace jack type stuff here. He's just ace queen. Wow, he really is like weak and passive, isn't he? Not your typical Belarusian. Right, what are we doing here with our nut flush draw? It's gone bet, call. I think raising or calling, both fine options. I'd like to know more about both players. Board this coordinated though. I think there's going to be lots of 2 pairs out there, some sets, some straights, etc. So we're not going to raise. We get hitting pretty bad if we do. Not a great turn card. What are you trying to tell us you've got, sir? What are you trying to tell me? Now that Keno, next time he comes up, we need to be putting the orange tag on him because he strikes me as being someone who is probably on the weak tight side of regular, I would say. The Dunder. Christ, he used to play up at 100 nil. Maybe he's just fucking around, having some fun. I think it's Alexander. He used to come in the chat when I was streaming. I think his name's Alexander. Could be wrong. I think he's a UK-based player of Eastern European descent, but I wouldn't swear to it. I bet pretty big on this pretty wet flop versus someone who doesn't have a full stack. Not in love with the 5 of diamonds, but I don't hate it either. I think we just have to go pretty big here again in the turn and just take our medicine when he raises. I expect to be behind, but not fold. Don't want to be giving any free cards here, then just calling rivers when he bombs. Do we bet again here to try and get value from soul hearts, ace x, etc.? Or do we check and call brick rivers? That's the 2 options that we appear to have here. Check and then call brick rivers, or bet fold now for protection. I think we prefer to check and call brick rivers. That wouldn't be a brick river, of course. And now we just hope to have the best hand. He can have stuff pocket 7s here, maybe pocket 8s once in a while. Ace 5. Okay. I'm not going to set mine the pocket 4s versus a pot size open. I'm going to get squeezed a little bit too often for my liking, and maybe that's nitty. A lot of you guys are probably think that's really nitty. Don't want a 3-bet versus that sizing. Don't really want a flat versus it either. Feels a bit nitty, but I'm on board with it. We can bet here or check back. I think because we have the backdoor flush draw too, it's going to give me encouragement to barrel some more turns occasionally. We're going to go with the bet. These games just aren't aggressive. I used to make some pretty big mistakes in these games by like overplaying hands when I got raised and giving people credit for having more bluffs than they do. And the few times I've played these games lately, it's just becoming ever more apparent that people are like play loose-ish ranges pre-flop, but post-flop they're just like the really, really very like weak, nitty games. And when the big money starts going in post-flop, then a lot of the times, in fact, way more often than not, they just have what they're supposed to have for the action that's going in. Don't want to barrel here. We do have showdown value. It'd be a great barrel card if we didn't have a pair, but because we do have a pair, we're just going to check. And we have very, very weak hand here. We do have some backdoor equity, so we're just going to take a stab on the flop and only bet turns that improve our equity, or possibly turns that improve our fold equity. Now I think this would be quite spewy. It's going to be disappointing when he turns up with pocket sixes and we just let him walk into the end zone. Apologies for the extended silence, but having a below average run of cards, and I'm chugging on my vape. These hands are pretty, but we'll let it go versus a middle position open. I think this guy's just going to call with nearly all his min 3 betting range here. We're behind to two hands, flipping with a lot of them. Ahead of some. I'm not ahead of that one. So we know this dude min 3 bets with premium hands, which isn't a surprise. Whenever I see like players with less than 100 blinds clicking the min 3 bet button, unless they're absolute maniacs, it's often going to be premium. Min 3 bet premium. It's all or not it's going to be because it's all we know about him at the moment. And double barrel here and just give up rivers that do not improve us. Like that one. Oh, I thought we won, and then we didn't win. For a moment, I thought we'd won. But then I noticed that we hadn't. I'm not going to set mine versus this stack size. River the second nuts. Really nice with the queen here, wouldn't it? He doesn't have a queen. He goes with the small lead here. Calling's okay, but prefer raising. Now some backdoor equity here. could float versus this sizing. Again, think I prefer raising though. Not a problem if he 3-bets. We have the easiest fold in the world. If he calls, so we're just going to barrel 5x, 7x and red ones. Not green deuces. We're not about to barrel a green deuce. The question here is going to be, do we 4-bet our 10s or not? Do we 4-bet 10s? It's where we wish I knew more about our opponent. If he's like the 17-11 type, then it's horrendous. If he's loose aggressive, then it's obviously fine. Don't know enough about the dude. So we'll just take the safer option. Probably going to fold if he barrels the turn here. Don't think people are 3-betting and then double barreling here with air. too often. There's c-bet, ace king frequently, I guess, but probably don't barrel it too often. I mean, I think with reasonable chance we're behind here to like queen x, jack x. It's just trying to pot control. Don't see much merit to betting, to be honest. He's not going to fold a better hand ever. Based on sizing, we're going to call here. If he bets small, we're probably going to sigh and pay it off. If he bets big, probably going to fold. I'm just going to take our showdown value. I'm not going to be doing too much work between sessions tagging these players. I would like more information, but don't really want to commit too much of my time outside of playing to working out who the players are, who does what. Part of me wants to 4-bet this hand, but I'm not going to. And I hate people who make videos to do that. We could do this here, but I'm not going to this time. I'm not that guy that says that, but part of me did want to 4-bet there. Versus that small squeeze. This name seems familiar to me, but I don't know why. Don't know why. With this screen name, I'm going to presume he's a regular. And that's why it's familiar to me. Obviously nothing we can do with the ace jack when he puts the 4-bet in. Pretty atrocious flop here with the king 9. Expect to get floated a decent amount blind versus blind on this board texture too by his ace highs, by his pairs, etc. So just going to give up since it's such a disappointing flop for our hand. Bet pretty big now. We pick up some equity, and I'm planning on betting more strippers if necessary. I'm going to go for some value here, bet folding with our 2 pairs. So we face a min 3-bet. I'd love to know if this is the same dude who did that min 3-bet earlier. Is it possible to quickly find out? No, probably not. Excuse me. When we 4-bet and we get called in 2 spots, this is not a particularly encouraging situation for us. We're not going to see bet here, and we're going to end up paying off here with our Queen 6. Doesn't feel like it's a spot where I want to pay off. If you barrel diamonds on the turn, he's got there. If you barrel King Jack on the turn, he's got there. I don't think he's value betting a worse hand. We'll let it go. Yeah, that Ace King was disappointing. We're not hitting many interesting boards so far today, are we? There's nothing much you can do here. We just got to check. Hope he's got pocket 8s, something like that. That's just stabbing the flop. I think he probably bets a king on the turn again, so I don't think it's a king very often. He could have stuff like Ace Queen that was just stabbing the flop. It's got some showdown value. And we're running out of time bank. Not very often I run out of time bank. Not usually one for going into the tank. Outside of the combo draw that got there earlier, I haven't had too many interesting spots. It would defend the Queen 9 if someone else had come along. What versus a 3x under the gun open. Just willing to let it go. I'm going to go 3 streets here and try and put pressure on anything that isn't the Queen. Small 3-bet. Doesn't have much of a stack. There's nothing to win if we do smash flops, so we'll let it go. Really not in love with this. He's come for the really super small 4-bet. Don't know anything about the dude. I mean, this could be spewy. This could be Spewy. Certainly was. Well, not she was Spewy, but we'll take it. Got it in bad twice so far this video and won both times. Go us. Getting it in bad, coming out good. And that could be bad. I know people make strong arguments for folding queens pre in these games, never mind jacks. But, yeah. That felt bad when I was doing it, but I did it anyway. Not really what I'm hoping to achieve during the month, but we'll take our run good when it comes, because I'm sure there'll be plenty of run bad along the way. Versus this sizing, we're going to need to defend the Jack 9 suited, certainly when someone else comes along. Unfortunately, the flop decides not to cooperate. Looks a lot like this dude has like ace queen, pocket queens, that type of thing. Really tempted to overbet here. So that's what we're going to do. Don't think this dude checks back like king X or aces twice. Don't think he has very much given how he's played the hand. And we had jack high, so we weren't going to win if we checked. Pretty dry floor. We have some backdoor equity. Like a reasonable spot to start with a bet. Seems like a really unreasonable spot to barrel the turn though. Which could lose here a lot of the time to pocket pairs, but we're not going to make them fold very often either. There's all my sets at 888. Where are all of my sets? We made a set earlier, didn't we? And got 0 action. Again, we're just going to go with an overbet here. It doesn't look like anyone has much. Very disappointing flop here for the 10-6 suited. Nothing much we're going to be able to do there. Feel like we've had too many really good starting hands during this video either. Hopefully future videos, if the donations roll in, will be a little bit more high octane than this one's been. But as I said, it is a morning session, and most of the sessions are going to be morning sessions, by the way, so maybe we're never going to be involved in any really decent pools. Could 3-bet here, but given we're deeper, I think he's going to peel somewhat wider. And when we 3-bet this type of hand, we are primarily hoping for folds. So we just go with the call. And just sit out next blinds. We've done the hour thereabouts. Yeah, it's been a pretty lifeless session, I'm afraid. It could be because the pools are like really quite nitty at this time of day. It could also just be because we haven't had many good hands. We haven't had much chance to discover just how good the pools are in terms of like how light people will pay off, etc. And double barrel here with our nines, try and get value from some weaker pairs. Deny a little bit of equity to his like overcards that float, and then if he does check call again, we will be checking back river. Don't expect to get raised very often here. Seems like quite an elaborate trap on a dry board, but who knows. If he does raise, he has almost no bluffs on this board texture, one would imagine. I mean, I'm really not sure what he's like. He doesn't represent any bluffs here, really. Goes for the tiny turn check raise. Doesn't make a lot of sense. Doesn't make much sense. But these games are just so like play so weak post flop. Just not a spot where I'm going to be willing to like call there and then call brick rivers and then just find out that the guy's been doing something weird with a strong hand all along. That is not the flop for the 3-5 suited. That is just not it. Ace-10 suited, giving us one last throw of the dice for the video. This is too pretty to fold to this sizing. Just too pretty. Again, the flop decides. I mean, we can't complain about flops because we've got it in terrible twice and won twice. Well, not terrible, got it in terrible once and okay-ish once and won both. So we're not going to complain about running bad, but the flops have just not led to too many interesting spots for us. He's blocking here, isn't he? I mean, I'd really like to raise here and shove river. Feels like it might be an interesting play. Don't think he has aces, don't think he has kings. Looks like he's blocking with something. Just looks weak, doesn't it? It looks weak. His line looks weak. 3-bet small pre, check flop, then he wants to suddenly bet the turn queen. Does he fold river so? We raise here and he calls. I don't think we can just shove river so. Yeah. Open and straight flush draw to end the video. I think we need to check raise here because we do have showdown value. So we just call. We shall turn the absolute super duper nizzles. Just gotta hope he has a big diamond here. We can't just call versus, especially versus this sizing. Don't want the timeout though. Do not want the timeout. We haven't set enough. We don't think we set the pot up for a shove here, which is unfortunate. We have set the pot up for a shove versus this dude. Good stuff. Just have the king of diamonds one time, sir. Disappointing. But ending the video with a straight flush, that is pure. That is as pure gets. I've never done that before. Probably never do it again. That was lovely. We ended up making just over $1 on the session, which is obviously not what we want to be doing. We certainly don't want to be getting it in pretty bad ones and flipping ones. It's not ideal either. We've ran good this session. Another session we could easily have lost $25 to $30 there. As it is, we've won $1. I'll take it. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Please hit the thumbs up if you got this far, and please do consider making a donation, no matter how small. Every little will help, and it will be greatly appreciated by myself and the people who run the groups and the people who enjoy the groups. So please do get involved if you can afford to. Don't feel guilty if you can't. Take care, everybody. Hopefully we'll be back very soon with another video, and bye bye for now.